Hi everyone. It has been a minute since I have given an update. I know I've kind of disappeared. Didn't mean to, but things got busy. But we are at about the halfway point of the year, just a little past the halfway point of the year, so I felt like I was overdue for an update. So this is going to be a hopefully brief little update video. I always say that and then end up talking more than I mean to, but I really don't have a lot to update on this time, so really should be an actually brief little update. So I'll go over quickly what I've been reading, how writing's been going, talk a little bit about what I would like to do in the future with this channel and with the Instagram and everything that I'm doing there. And yeah, that'll be about it. But just wanted to check in. I felt like I was very much overdue. Starting with reading, some news goes into this as well, but I haven't been doing a ton of personal reading because I am going back to teaching this fall, which is very exciting. I'm very, very excited to return to the classroom and to get to be in that kind of position again. But it also means that a lot of my free time that I had to do my fun reading, to do my writing, has been taken up by prep work for the upcoming school year. All the materials that I am going to be teaching I am familiar with, but I have never taught before. So a lot of my work lately and a lot of my reading lately has been reviewing all the materials and just trying to get ready for the upcoming school year. We go back to school on August 6th, and as of filming this, it is July 6th. So pretty much exactly a month until I go back. So it's been crunch time over here, and that's why I've been really quiet, both here and on Instagram, just because I haven't had a ton of time to really keep up with it, unfortunately, as I make this transition. Hopefully once I'm settled into it, I'll be able to get back into making content again. Still not as often as I was doing last year, but perhaps a bit more often than I have been doing this year. Hopefully, this is the idea. With reading, I have been doing a lot of classics. All classics I have read before, but that I am reviewing in preparation for the upcoming school year. So I have been working through this stack. I have a few more that I need to get to. So starting off, I am not only returning to the classroom in person, I am also going to be teaching an online course for my alma mater, which is very exciting. So for that course, I read Fahrenheit 451 and The House on Mango Street. I have read both of these before, but it's been several years and I needed a refresher. I've decided that we are going to be teaching Fahrenheit 451. I read both because they were both an option, and my on-ground counterparts had said that they were switching over to Fahrenheit 451 instead of House on Mango Street for this upcoming semester. Told me it was up to me which one I wanted to teach, and after reading both, I'd really like to teach Fahrenheit 451 this time. However, House on Mango Street is wonderful, an absolutely wonderful read. And both of these books, it was nice returning to them because when I read them, I don't remember being terribly impressed. And not because they weren't good books, because obviously they're classics for a reason, but because they didn't necessarily personally resonate with me. I could appreciate them with an objective eye. I thought they were very beautifully done. I thought they were interesting, but didn't necessarily impact me personally. So I think I gave them both 4 stars, liked what they were doing, weren't necessarily my favorite. That's okay. Coming back to them several years later though, I was blown away by both of them for very different reasons. But The House on Mango Street just has such incredible use of language. It is so beautifully written, and I don't often see this style of storytelling where it's told through vignettes, and I just really love the heart behind this book, behind the stories that are in that. Getting to read a little bit of Sandra Cisneros' bio as well really put a lot of perspective to the stories that she's telling here. So this ended up really moving me emotionally more than I was expecting it to, especially because I'd already read it before, but found myself more impressed and more touched by this book the second time around. And then Fahrenheit 451, again, I've read before, I read it for school, liked it just fine, thought it was good, kind of forgot what happened in it, kind of forgot about it, and returning to it now, again, with a few more years of experience and being a little bit older, this book was good, but it was also difficult to read. It is a very, very pertinent book for our society right now. It very much felt like I was reading a prophet, and not in a good way. It was a little foreboding, but also encouraging to know that there is already literature about distraction and about the dying out of literature and of reading and the importance of thinking critically for yourself. So I'm really excited to teach this book. I'm really glad I get to return to it. Really great story. Also, Ray Bradbury's writing style, his narrative voice, incredible. There were so many lines I underlined just because I couldn't believe what he was managing to do with a single sentence, the picture he was creating or the emotion he was evoking in just a little blurb. Incredible writing. Really love them both. And while I'm not going to be teaching The House on Mango Street for this course, I have decided to include a few selections from this book in the other course that I'm teaching for high school. So very excited about both of these. These were great. Not sure what star ratings I would give them. Higher than a 4. I don't know if I'd go all the way up to a 5. Maybe a 4.5. I've been really lazy about my ratings lately. Haven't logged a lot of what I've been reading just because it's been one after the other and I'm trying to process it in terms of teaching and schoolwork versus just my own personal reading. But yes, these were great. Really glad I got to revisit them. And then for my high school courses, I have just reread The Scarlet Letter, Frankenstein, and I am in the middle of East of Eden by John Steinbeck right now. I still have to reread The Great Gatsby, Northanger Abbey, and Treasure Island for the upcoming school year, but those will be within the next few weeks. I haven't gotten to them yet. But Scarlet Letter and Frankenstein, I'll start there because those are the ones I read the most recently, and they're finished, and I'm still in progress with this one. Scarlet Letter, I remembered hating as a high schooler. When I read it, I hated this book. It was not my cup of tea, and for the longest time, I was like, nope, don't like that book, really don't enjoy it, really don't appreciate it. So when I found out it was part of the curriculum, and it really was the only viable book to teach for this course for that time period and for American literature, I was like, ugh, I really don't want to, but I will, because it is a staple, especially in high school classrooms, and I don't want to just skip over it just because I don't necessarily enjoy it myself. However, while I still hold some criticisms of this book, again, having returned to it several years later and as an adult, I am so impressed with The Scarlet Letter. I thought I was going to hate it again. I didn't. There's still, again, I have my critiques of it, but there's a lot more nuance and richness to the story than I remember there being. There's a lot theologically that I appreciate within it, so still not necessarily my favorite book I've ever read, but I have come away from it the second time with a newfound appreciation for it. Do I still think it's a little overly verbose? Yes. Do I still kind of like what it's doing though? Also, yeah. Moving on to Frankenstein. I like Frankenstein. Frankenstein's a fun story. I say fun, it's, horrifying and very messy, but at the same time, I wasn't as thrilled by this book as I was the last time I read it. I still like it just fine. It may be that I'm having to read through these things so quickly I don't really get to sit and digest super deeply what I'm reading, because normally I would read this over the course of a couple weeks, maybe a few weeks. In the classroom, it's going to be several weeks that we're like slowly picking through Frankenstein and going through it. However, I had to read this in 5 days, and I found myself feeling very wearied by a lot of it, or feeling like, okay, let's get on with the description and get on with the story. Like, I get it, we're sad. Fair enough. I like that there are still descriptions of the grief that she goes over in this book, but it felt a little prolonged in certain areas, and like we were being really dramatic for the sake of being dramatic, and that is part of the conventions of the genre, so fair enough, but I found this to be a little more tedious than I remember. I'm still excited to teach it. I still think it's a great book, but I think I found myself feeling a little more wearied by it this time than usual. That's not to say that I dislike Frankenstein. I still really enjoy Frankenstein. And next, East of Eden. Picking this up, I didn't remember anything about it, but I remember that I was assigned this book as a junior in high school. It was for summer reading. And what I remember about this book is that even the people in my class that were not readers read this book, loved it, and we were all really excited to discuss it when we came back to class at the start of the year. This is a book where I just don't have time to teach it in the classroom because the way our system works, we read the stuff out loud in class. It's just too big of a book. It would take too long. It would probably take the whole school year, but I'm assigning this to my students probably as independent reading, or so is the plan. I need to finish it to make sure it's still okay to teach. Some restrictions that I have to be aware of and whatnot, but this is an incredible story. I find myself looking forward to reading this every single day, even though I have like a set schedule and I'm reading it for school. Last week when I was getting through Frankenstein and this, my reward for finishing Frankenstein chapters would be, okay, cool, now I get to go read East of Eden. And it's funny because I was reading less in Frankenstein and more in East of Eden, and it took me longer to get through the Frankenstein chapters versus the East of Eden chapters because I was so much more engaged in this one. And again, I'm still in the middle of it. I think actually just over halfway through, about 60%. So I still have the rest of the week, this week, to finish reading it, but just what an incredible story. I'm so struck by Steinbeck's use of dialogue. His descriptions, while they can be a little long-winded sometimes, are so lovely to read. I'm not even mad about it. It's great character work. And again, just being a Christian and a Bible nerd as much as I can be, I'm still learning a lot on that front. The allusions that he's doing to scripture here and the actual attention to detail as far as theological study that is present in this book, even though it's not necessarily a Christian book. It's beautiful. It's beautifully done. It's such a great character study. And I love that I get to return to it because, again, I am reliving my experience as a high schooler being just so utterly transfixed by this book and getting to come back to it as an adult and be just as transfixed by it and excited to read it. And I'm really excited that I get to tackle this one again and excited to keep reading it because, again, I'm not finished, but even though it is work that I'm doing, I look forward to reading this one every time I pick it up. And then for fun reading, I am still picking away at Watership Down. It's It's not that I don't enjoy it or that it's not moving quickly, it's that my fun reading time has really, really diminished over the past few weeks. So I have been in Watership Down for probably almost 2 months, probably at this point. I think I started it near the end of May, and I'm really enjoying it, but most of my fun reading time happens before bed now, and the last week or so I have maybe managed to read a page or two or a couple chapters at most. If I read it all, a lot of times I've just been falling right asleep because I've been so tired. The days have been long and busy with prep work, with other things we have going on, so I haven't done a lot of Watership Down, but as you can see, I have maybe 100 pages left, less than 100 pages left, yeah, just under, I think 70, about 70 pages, so I'm really, really close to the end of Watership Down, and I am really enjoying it. This is one that I am considering doing a review video on, discussing it in more detail. I really liked the story so far. I've heard over and over again, I was gonna love this so much and it was gonna absolutely devastate me, and I'm not devastated yet. I know I'm expecting tragedy. I'm expecting it to hit very soon because I'm so close to the end. There's been a lot where I understand why it's a classic and I am enjoying it. It's not maybe my favorite thing I've read this year, but I am still really, really liking it, and I'm anxious to find out what's going to happen. I think it reached a point finally where I was really invested in what was happening in the story versus just the characters. Even though I am a very character-heavy reader, I think there was a lot at the beginning of this book that felt a little overlong, that dragged a little bit, even though I was interested in what the characters were doing. But yeah, I feel like we've gotten to the thick of the plot, and I am always excited to pick this up when I can. So we'll give more updates on that one, but that's all for me on the reading front. Over the next couple weeks, as I said, I will be retackling The Great Gatsby, which I've read a couple times but just need a refresher before I teach it. Northanger Abbey, which I've read once many, many years ago, so again, need a refresher. And Treasure Island, same thing, read it many years ago. That one is like East of Eden, it'll be independent reading, so not as teaching heavy in that one. I just need to kind of be familiar with the story again. But yeah, excited to get to all of those rereads because it's been so long. Excited to finish Watership Down, and excited to continue to update you guys on how the reading is going as I get through it. On the writing front, writing for me has slowed down significantly, but I have made a good deal of progress in the last couple of months. So I have officially reached the 75% finished mark of this first draft. It is outrageously messy. I'm doing my best, but again, this is a genre I've never worked in before, and it's one of those where I know I'm going to be cutting this thing at least in half, if not more, but I needed to see every single scene that was in my brain laid out so I can decide how I want to rearrange, how I want to cut or to shift down the road in the editing stage. I really tried to cut it down, but it was one of those projects where I just needed to see the entire picture, even stuff that isn't going to make it into the final draft, because I want to be able to have that background to inform what I'm doing. So it's been a very long process. It's a very long book, so much longer than I was expecting, but I'm on chapter 70 of 89 right now, so I am making progress. My goal to have it finished by July 31st, definitely not happening, but that's okay. Over the next couple weeks, I'm hoping I can give it a little more time than I have been giving it the last couple weeks. Last couple weeks with prep work has been a lot of organizing all my materials and figuring out how to approach preparation. So now that I actually have a game plan and I kind of have a schedule for everything I need to do, I think I'll be able to work in a little bit more writing time, hopefully. So is the idea. But I'd like to at least get through, I think I'd like to try to get up to about chapter 80 if I can, because then it just won't feel as intimidating as I get into the school year and have to continue the draft. I'm anxious to continue with this one. I am feeling a little weary, even though I'm in that final stretch, because I've been working on it for so long. And again, it's not my usual genre, so it does challenge me pretty often. There are a lot of chapters I sit down where they seem like they should be straightforward, and I struggle to picture exactly what's happening in the scene, even though I know what's supposed to happen. So it's just been an interesting process, and I'm still enjoying it, but I am a little tired and a little ready to reach the end of this draft so that I can move on to my next project, which I'm really excited about. But yeah, it's trying to keep my heart here in this project right now as I continue to work on it. I have made a really good amount of progress, really pleased that I am that far along within the book. I know for sure it's going to be a continued labor into the school year, and it's going to take me a bit longer than I was expecting to finish it, but that's okay. Excited to continue and happy with the progress I have made thus far. And that's all as far as the update goes. Looking ahead, I'm a bit all over the place with what I want to do, how I'm trying to approach everything. So looking ahead, hopefully some book reviews. I know I just gave a brief overview of everything that I just read for school, but I thought maybe a classics roundup would be a nice little video to do at some point. If any of the books that I talked about people are interested in hearing more about, or any of the books that I'm still needing to read for school, people are interested in hearing my thoughts on that, maybe I'll do some sort of collective book review for all of them, give a little more detail on my thoughts overall, review that content as I teach it. I don't know. So maybe something like that, because that's what I've been doing. Once I finish the draft, I will definitely do a video updating about that and talking about my experience overall, the things that I've learned, the things that that I've enjoyed, kind of like a normal writing update video that I would do, but specifically for this project. Don't know when that's coming. Hopefully sooner rather than later, but I'm expecting probably sometime in like September would be my guess is when I finish it. So we'll see. I'd like to do a couple more reading vlogs sometime soon here. Not sure for which books yet. I have a couple of ideas, but again, with everything I have going on, that's less time to film and to edit and to get all this out in the world. If I do that, it'll be a slow going process and just whenever I can get around to it. So hopefully something like that, but yeah, will depend on timing and what I'm reading. And then I said here at the end, I know NaNoWriMo is officially dead. By NaNoWriMo, but I still hope to participate in some capacity with a challenge like that this year. Not sure if I'm gonna go whole hog at 50,000 words in November, but I thought maybe I could do something like write for 30 minutes a day in November every single day, or I don't know, try to hit 5 out of the 7 days of the week, because I'm also traveling in November. There's a lot going on, so we'll see if I can manage that, but I still want to participate in NaNoWriMo, even though NaNoWriMo isn't necessarily a thing anymore, because I have a project in mind for that. So looking forward to that and hoping to participate in some capacity, even though technically NaNoWriMo is dead. There goes my light. I thought I could make the video without them dying. Always. Anyway, I'm pretty much done anyway. Yeah, I'm sorry that I haven't been around. You can expect more spaced out content as my time dwindles. I'm hoping that once I get into the school year and kind of get settled, I'll have a little bit more free time to be able to work on things like this. Right now it really is crunch time just because I am trying to prep all my materials before I get into the classroom. I am only going back part-time, so I'll have a little bit more time to work on getting my school stuff done within school hours, as well as taking care of my online course and everything else in my life that I'm responsible for. But hopefully that will allow at least a little bit of time here and there to continue with updates here and on Instagram. I can't really promise what that's going to look like because everything's been so up in the air and my schedule's been changing from week to week. But yes, it was time for an update, and I hope to be able to offer more updates and more content, more conversations about what I'm reading, things that I'm writing, things that I'm learning soon as I get settled into this new routine and start this new position. But that's why I've been kind of off the map and why things have been really quiet lately. So thank you for your patience and for being here still, even though I have not really been checking in very often. And I think that's all for now. So thank you as always so much for being here. As always, if you like what I'm doing and you're interested in seeing more of what I'm doing, you can follow me on Instagram and Goodreads as well. And if you like videos like this or the kind of content that I create here, you can also click the subscribe button below. But in the meantime, happy reading, happy writing, and I will chat with you all soon.